Larry holds the House no more. Joining us on Columbus on the Record this week, Derek Clay, Democratic strategist, Bob Clegg, Republican strategist, and Darrell Rowland, public affairs editor for the Columbus Dispatch. His ouster was as remarkable as his comeback. A year and a half after regaining the position of Speaker of the Ohio House, Larry Householder has lost it.
With a vote of 90 affirmative votes and no negative votes, the motion is agreed to. Chair recognizes Representative Seitz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House now stand in recess.
Without objection, the House stands in recess.
And that was it. As quickly and as quietly as they possibly could, the Ohio House voted unanimously to remove Householder as Speaker. The move came moments after the U.S. Attorney's Office announced that a federal grand jury has indicted Householder and his associates for bribery, money laundering, and racketeering. Hours later, the House installed its new Speaker, Bob Cupp of Lima. We'll get to that in just a moment. But Darrell Rowland, you know, it was an extraordinary rise to power for Larry Householder, and then an extraordinary fall from power for Larry Householder.
Yeah, my goodness, those of us who remember his first time around as a representative and then Speaker in the early 2000s, you know, he was seemingly left town one step ahead of the gendarmes then, and became like Perry County Auditor and ran into some difficulty there and kind of disappeared from sight. So, you know, 5 years ago or so, they were talking about, oh, he's going to make a comeback to the House. And, well, he wins back the House. Well, he's going to try to be Speaker again. And it's like, really? Really? And it happened. And in a most unusual way, of course. He got Democrats, as many Democratic votes for Republicans, because he got to deal with Democrats. You know, I'll keep the right to work legislation off your plate. Prevailing wage will be cool with me. So they voted for him, and he was Speaker. And, you know, a lot of us just sort of looked around and said, wow, not quite as big a surprise as the Trump victory in 2016, but still a real comeback. And now to see the curve go down yet again, as you say, the federal complaint from last week, the indictment from this week, just a devastating, you know, outline of a incredible pattern of bribery and corruption. And, you know, you look at the case, it's just not bare allegations. There are recordings, there were, you know, obviously phone taps, people were wired, they obviously have gotten into bank and financial records. So, wow.
Yeah.
Again, it's another head-shaking moment.
Yeah, Bob Clegg, you're a Republican strategist, of course. You help candidates who are running for the House and the Senate here in the state of Ohio. And you were affected by what was going on. You represented clients who were taking on what was Team Householder, and you saw some strange spending.
Yeah, we had heard a rumor, you know, back in the spring of 2018 that First Energy was supposedly put, you know, over $1 million in some kind of a C4 dark money fund. And sure enough, we saw come April of 2018, we saw a lot of spending that was going on by Team Householder against all my clients that had Householder opponents. And the vast majority, unfortunately, of those Team Householder people ended up winning the primaries. So, I mean, you saw this PAC that was called Growth and Opportunity PAC that was doing all the TV buys and radio buys and direct mail pieces. And we just assumed, well, that must be the C4 that they're using to try to make this thing happen. And, Darrell just went through everything about how Larry Householder got elected Speaker. I was amazed that 26 Republicans and 26 Democrats overlooked the fact that this guy did barely get out of town before the FBI was tailing him. And then as a Perry County Auditor, he ended up using county employees on county time to help renovate a bar that he bought in Perry County. I mean, and he got slammed on an ethics violation for that. But these 52 people, I don't know what happened. They all of a sudden forgot about it, I guess.
Derek Clay, Democrats must have regrets now, hindsight being 2020, that they teamed up with Larry Household to get the bargain, to try to get some, like the right to work would not be brought up, to maybe get some concessions on legislation they were hoping to pass in the current session?
Thanks, Mike. I think that Democrats were looking at the two of lesser evils. They were looking at a speaker in Ryan Smith that they really couldn't get any type of traction on, and then they were looking at Larry Householder, who was coming over to say that they would work with them. So, because the Democrats were in the minority and they don't have any veto-proof power, they were looking to see if they could get a speaker that would actually work with him, and that's what they did in ex-Speaker Larry Householder.
Yeah, they were, they were, like you said, between a rock and a hard place. They really couldn't, they had no place to turn if they wanted to have any kind of influence at all or stop legislation, as the case might be, in the legislature. Darrell, the House did not vote to expel Larry Householder from his seat, which would have taken a 2/3 vote, not just a simple majority it required for the removal as Speaker. Democrats did try to force a vote on expelling him as a member of the House, and Republicans tabled it. They basically blocked it. And
Right.
Darrell, Democrats were very quick to right away start using that table vote against the Republicans who voted not to expel Larry Householder.
Well, right. And, some people have talked about parallels with various past public officials that were very quickly, votes were taken or demands for resignation, everything happened very fast. There's a quirk in the law that, frankly, I was not aware of, and I'm just going on others' words about this this time around, that you only have one shot at removing him. And the fact is he is unopposed as far as people actually on the ballot for re-election in his seat over in Perry County. No Democrat filed against him and no one else. Now, a couple of write-in candidates have since filed. So if he survives, the fall and into next year with this federal investigation, there's nothing to prevent him from being seated as the duly elected representative next year. So the thought was, well, we remove him now, then his people in his district put him back in. We've taken our shot, and he's sitting here right among us.
Yeah.
Presumably until he gets, obviously you get convicted of a felony, that's game over. But until that happens, and we all know that could, if he really wants to fight this and has the money to fight it, that could take a long time.
Yeah, that's the argument that, due process. He hasn't been convicted of any crime yet, and his supporters in the legislature said we should let the thing play out before we remove him from office. Even some said before we remove him from Speaker, but of course politically, no one's going to follow a Speaker who's under indictment. Just politically, you're not going to get anything done in the legislature. Anyway, the State Rep Bob Cupp is the new Speaker. The former State Supreme Court Justice took the podium after the closed-door Republican caucus meeting and immediately promised transparency and accountability.
We all have an obligation to the people of Ohio and our constituents to pass thoughtful legislation and to look out for their best interests. As your Speaker, I will ensure that policy is carefully crafted and examined throughout the legislative process to allow members to be able to make informed decisions when casting their votes. And this extends to legislation which needs to be revisited after being tainted by alleged corruption.
Bob Clegg, legislation that needs to be revisited, obviously a reference to House Bill 6, the nuclear plant bailout that is at the root of all this scandal. Bob Clegg, what's going to be different with Bob Cupp as Speaker?
Bob Cupp, I've known Bob Cupp for 35 years, and great man. Hard worker. Bob Cupp was always the guy in the legislature that you gave the tough issues to. As a Senate staffer, I worked with him on campaign finance reform back in the early 90s. And that's when we instituted campaign contributions. And we revamped the Ohio Elections Commission. The guy is a good government guy. He's a former justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. They couldn't have picked a better, more capable, more honest person than Bob Cupp. They did a great job. Unfortunately, they did a poor job the first time around, but this time around they got it right.
Yeah, you could right away. You saw the moderating tone that he's going to bring to the House floor when he wore a mask as he walked up to the podium to take the oath of office. Now, whether he mandates masks, who knows? But at least he wore a mask, something the householder and his supporters have refused to do. Darrell Rowland, revisit House Bill 6 is not the same as repeal House Bill 6. What's the thinking of what happens to that bill now, that law now?
Well, that's going to be really critical because the first time around that just barely snuck through, and that's with all the federal indictments. Do you believe all this illegal money pushing for it and advocating for it? Representative Cupp was actually caught up in that himself a little bit. There was talk about paying to fly him back from, I think it was an ALAC conference or something in Chicago to get his vote. He ended up coming back a different way. But, so he's kind of started out in the middle of this. But the discussion of the merits of this, you've heard many say repeal and replace. I mean, it sounds like we're talking about healthcare, right? Yeah. But can they replace it with the same thing? There's the big picture of the bailout of the 2 nuclear power plants up along Lake Erie. But there's also 2 coal-burning power plants in here that we've since come to learn have major investments by AEP. AEP put some dark money into this. Today, my colleague Randy Ludlow revealed that Murray Energy, the big coal mining baron from over Eastern Ohio, put some money into this, and again, coal interest. Ironic, this was sold, at least in part, as a clean energy bill, but it's supporting coal plants, one in Indiana, by the way. So, and it also, under the guise of this clean energy bill, it took away the certain standards to achieve renewable and green energy here in Ohio that have been passed under the Strickland administration. I can't remember which year, but 25% of the Ohioans are supposed to be Ohio Energy is supposed to be produced by green renewable energy by, it was like 2025 or something like that.
Yeah, Derek,
So
you worked on this campaign. Derek Clay, you worked on the campaign to help pass a version
Repeat
of
that,
HB3.
Mike. I can't hear you.
Derek, you worked on this campaign. In some of your clients were involved with HB6. How do you see this bill being reworked to pass? Do you see those renewable energy standards being inserted back into it? Is that one way to get it passed and continue the nuclear bailout, which does have some merit? You want to have a diverse energy pool here in Ohio of different sources of energy. A lot of jobs up there. A lot of people work for those plants. People want to save those jobs. Derek, what does a new bill look like?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me clarify. We worked on the opposite side of the First Energy on House Bill 6. So, we were working against the bailout. But, the only way that you can really get some clarity and restore some sort of public trust to this bill is to repeal House Bill 6. You're going to have to repeal it, and then you're going to have to start over. When you're talking about coal burning plants, coal is a thing of the past when you're talking about energy. Renewable energy is the future of energy. And so we're going to have to look at ways in which we can advance our state in terms of its energy portfolio versus going backwards.
Mm-hmm. Bob Clegg, energy companies have tremendous influence at the State House. We see it right in this case here. Always have. My question is, will they always have the same influence? And when it comes time to help First Energy or AEP or one of the big companies with a replacement of HB6, will lawmakers say to the energy companies, sorry, you're out of luck?
Well, I think the relationships between not just the energy companies, but any companies that come in and want to lobby the legislature is going to change. I think it's okay to go in and state your case and say, hey, we have 1,500 jobs we want to save, and let's work together in trying to do that. That's different than saying, hey, I'll set up a dark money fund for you and give you millions of dollars so that we can get you elected speaker, and then you can do payback by passing a bill that will dictate to you. So, right. It's going to be different, but it's going to be the way it should be, and it hasn't been. And that's good.
Yeah, Bob,
Um,
Bob Cupp, Speaker Cupp,
Yeah.
promised transparency, and we'll see if that plays out in the months ahead. COVID cases continue to rise at the quickest pace we've seen since the start of the pandemic back in March here in Ohio. We had averaging about 1,600 cases a day over the past few days. Because of that, Governor DeWine has recommended and the state liquor board approved an order that bars and restaurants stop selling alcohol after 10 p.m.
Look, we do not want to shut down Ohio bars and restaurants. That would be devastating to them. But we do have to take some action and see what kind of results we get from this action.
To quote the governor, use of alcohol can lead to less social distancing. Very true. Columbus went one step further than the administration this week, actually shut down bars and restaurants at 10 o'clock, but the judge has put that order on hold. Derek Clay, that could be why the governor went through the Liquor Control Commission, because instead of a state order that could be fought in court, maybe they thought this would have better legal standing. Is this a good idea, shutting down bars at 10 o'clock? I could just see people at 10 o'clock having a whole fistful of beers till 11 and then go off and spread the coronavirus. What do you think?
Yeah, well, let me first say this. I've said this publicly before. I thought that the governor did a great job in the beginning of handling this COVID situation, but it seems as though here of late he's gotten a little pressure from maybe the president and other folks around the state to be a little bit lax. We should have had a mask mandate a long time ago. We came out of this COVID situation gradually, which I think that was the right way to do it. But, now we're at a situation where we had a record number of COVID cases just yesterday with over I think it was like 1,700 cases in one day. So if you keep going on this trajectory, then you're going to end up where we were before with a state shut down. In terms of the liquor, shutting down liquor at 10 o'clock, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I mean, like you said, people are going to hang out until 10 o'clock. They're going to get their last little bit of liquor in, and they have to consume it by 11 o'clock. So you still can order at 10 and still have a whole hour to drink.
Yeah, and bars usually close at 2, so you're saving 2 or 3 hours. But Daryl, to bar owners, as one sports bar owner quote, I think it was in the Dispatch, said that, a lot of games don't end at 10 o'clock. So all my customers aren't going to come in to watch half a game. So they really, even though it's only a few hours, it's their key hours to help them recover from being shut down for 3 months.
Well, exactly. You've got the business side, and you've got the legal side, as you mentioned before. We've talked to some of the same folks who brought the litigation that got the injunction against the Columbus rule. They're going to try the same against the state. Now, the conventional wisdom, or the wisdom of the DeWine administration, is that doing it through the Liquor Control Commission will give us a little more juice than just a city ordinance. I guess we're going to see. It's going to wind up in court. Will there be an injunction or a temporary restraining order to stop this from taking effect? We're going to find that out, I think, in just a few days.
Bob Clegg, in the beginning, the governor, it was all statewide orders, shutting down schools, shutting down daycare, shutting down businesses. And then as we reopened and the cases started to creep back up again, it was more local control, leading up to local officials, cities, towns, counties, even. But now the governor seems to be coming back. County fairs, he really shut them down. They weren't following the rules, so he shut down the county fairs except for the isolated events. And now a statewide mask mandate last week. Now he hinted that a statewide school closure, we'll talk about schools in a moment, but a statewide school closure could be coming. Is the governor looking more towards statewide action now because the cases are on the rise?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he is. But I'm afraid with this whole COVID thing, we're kind of in a gray area in that I think it either, we have to shut everything back down again, or we open up. What happened was we did shut everything down. We flattened the curve. We did a great job here in Ohio. And even with a gradual reopening, you're going to have more cases because less people were exposed because we were shut down. That's just the way this thing works. And I don't know if there's anything anybody can do short of shutting down the state one more time to stop the increasing cases.
Yeah, they're just trying to keep it probably at where it is now and start to push that curve back down again through mask use. I mean, universal mask use, the governor mentioned this week that it's showing results in counties that have had the mask mandate now for a couple of weeks. So maybe that's an indication that we could be hitting another peak and heading back down again. Turning to schools, so parents and kids can plan. It is decision time for school districts, and a lot of districts are deciding to keep kids home to start the school year. Several districts will teach online only to start the year. They include Columbus and a lot of suburban districts around Columbus. The decision is welcomed by some families, but vilified by others. Darrell Rowland, this puts parents in a real tough spot. They have kids that can't stay home alone. They have to go to work. But some parents don't want their kids to be exposed. They don't want teachers to catch what's out there.
Well, it's a 1-2 punch for a lot of parents, and certainly a lot of single parents especially. Not just schools, but daycare. They go hand in hand. Taking care of your kids, the most precious thing in your life for most of us. Everyone's in a real dilemma here. And my goodness, we're on the cusp of August. And we're still talking about, are we going to have school? Are we going to have kids go back to classes? Looks like that's not happening. Well, now, how about football? How about the sports? Not sure about that. And then it's the college level as well. Or the Buckeye football. Looks like the classes are going to be online. Things are moving so quickly and so close to deadlines. Political conventions are up in the air. So much of our life is up in the air. It's really disconcerting.
And Derek, the complicating schools is we're really getting truly conflicting information from very reputable sources, not just nut jobs on Twitter. I mean, pediatrician organizations, studies in the Journal of the American Medical Association are saying shutting down schools was great. And other people are saying, no, the health effects for kids who are staying home is worse. You need to send them to school. This truly is a dilemma for school officials based on the reputable information that's out there. Derek.
Well, the reason why you have so many conflicting opinions is because we have no leadership at all at the top. Our president hasn't provided any leadership on this issue. And so everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And whereas we should be following the science, we're following memes on social media and things that people have heard. It's ridiculous.
Bob Clegg, a lot of counties are using the map, the governor's color-coded map, and they're saying, okay, if our county is level 1 or level 2, we can go. If we get to level 3 or level 4, where the case spread is worse, 4 being the absolute worst, then schools will shut down. Is that a good strategy, especially for rural counties where there aren't that many cases? There's probably not a real reason to keep kids home in those counties.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, a lot of this stuff we don't know. And that's where Derek's talking about follow the science. Well, the problem we got with following the science is that the science is conflicted. Sometimes this is good, sometimes it's not. We can't even get our science community to agree on how COVID works and what we should be doing or what we should not be doing. With schools, my big concern is kids are going to end up in a learning deficit, all the kids. I worry about kids in urban districts where school isn't just about learning. It's a lifeline for food, for support, for safety, for a lot of things. I think the disruption we're causing these kids is going to be not going to go away. I mean, it's going to be life altering for them. And I think we need to start taking those kinds of concerns into account when we make these decisions about whether schools are going to be open or not.
Darrell,
and if I could get in here real quick, not to mention the added expense to families that have to go out and buy a computer, or those that don't have good access to broadband and other technology.
Yeah, and Darrell, the concern is on the part of the teachers is, especially older teachers, they're afraid of catching it from one of the kids. Darrell, about 30 seconds left.
Yeah, and that's we hear there's a lot of teachers deciding whether they're even going to retire or not. So if the kids come back, because many of the districts, they have to wear a mask, but the kids don't.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our off-the-record parting shots, and we will start with Bob Clegg.
Well, the House Republicans have started with a new leadership team. I think it's time the House Democrats do the same thing. Their leaders were all householder supporters. They're in office because householder won Speaker. I think if the Democrats want to get out of this, they better get all new leaders.
All right. Derek Clay.
I think after November's election, the Democrats will be in a position where they will be able to have some veto power over what's going on in the House. It won't be a veto-proof majority anymore.
Even with the gerrymandered districts, Derek, the Democrats will pick up.
That's my prediction.
Significant. Wow. Okay. And Darrell Rowland.
Yeah, I'm told that a large newspaper near us is going to break a story soon about back to our pharmacy benefit managers plans and how the state has not really gone after them like they said they have.
Pharmacy benefit managers, that's the middlemen between the drug companies.
Middlemen, the drug chain, taking out their cut, and the state taxpayers are, are losing money, and the care is not as good.
Yeah. We touched on it briefly. School districts K through 12 are trying to figure out what to do with their students. Universities are really struggling as well. Ohio University has backed off its plan to bring all students back. They're not just going to bring back students who need to be on campus, those who have to work in labs, those who have to do things in clinics. So look for other universities, including OSU, to rethink what they're doing if the number of cases does not start to subside. That'll do it for Columbus on the Record for this week. Check us out online. Continue the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter, but we don't do any TikTok videos, not yet anyway. So check all that at our website, wosu.org. For our crew and for our panel appearing via Zoom, thanks very much for watching Columbus on the Record. Have a good week and stay safe. Wear a mask.